That's the first gobble I've heard in 2 solid days in probably 15 miles. More if you count the truck. I've drove a lot in the truck too. But that's good. We got a place to start in the morning.
This is probably one of my bigger bucks to date.
Guys, I cannot believe that actually worked.
Looks like a double long shot.
It was hot, really hot.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new to the channel, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. If you guys have watched any of my videos in the past, you know that I'm a very avid turkey hunter. Most of the content on my channel is hunting related, and for a long, super long time, I've really wanted to go after a Merriam's Gobbler, and this week I get my chance to do just that. I'm in South Dakota, I'm in the Black Hills, and I'm going to be chasing Merriam's all week. And this is my very first venture into South Dakota turkey hunting, so we're gonna go see what it's all about. My first venture into the Black Hills really took my breath away. This place was more beautiful than I had ever imagined, and the habitat inside of it was really diverse. There was big open green lush bottoms with creeks rolling through them. There was ponderosa pine forests, and then up towards the top of some of the taller peaks, it was really mountainous. In fact, it reminded me a lot of the terrain that you find in Colorado. The only thing that was missing from the background was the peaks. In my opinion, these Black Hills should be called the Black Mountains, because if you're not prepared for them, they're gonna whoop your butt. Most of day one was spent driving around trying to locate a bird. I stopped the truck about every 400 yards and would use either a locator call or a turkey call to try and get a bird to gobble at me. When I found a gate that did not allow motorized vehicle access, I would always pull over and I would walk at least a mile back. And while I was not able to put eyes on any birds or hear any birds, I did see a lot of good turkey sign, and I did get to take in a lot of scenic views. The coolest thing that happened to me towards the end of day one is that I was able to stumble upon a herd of about 20 elk, and I was only about 300 yards away. It was the perfect scenery in the background. They were on a pretty steep hill with fallen trees on it, and they weren't too concerned about me, so I got to look at them for a super long time. First time I've ever experienced anything like this, and it was beautiful. As it got towards the end of the night, I made camp in an area where several different ridges and high points met in this low bottom. My hope was that I was going to hear some birds as they flew up to the roost, but I did not. Morning day two, running a little bit late. I have a group of turkeys up here in a field on private. But there's a little sliver, like a corner crossing thing, it looks like I can use to get onto public behind it. And those turkeys look like they're gonna feed back to the public, so I'm gonna give it a try. Look like a group of jigs, but with the turkey numbers I've seen so far, I am not picky. I cannot believe how much deer and elk sign is in this place. It's insane. And they're not afraid of people. Access to that corner wasn't going to happen. Those turkeys are kind of sticking to that spot. But I was able to locate a logging road back around behind it. It's going to be a good little hike, probably a mile or so. But there's a little logging road that'll basically take me right down to them. My plan is to get down there and maybe set up on that logging road and do some calling. See what happens. I got turkeys to chase though. We're in the game. We're in the game. Well, I got up here to the top of the hill and I heard some hen calling. So I sat down and then I seen two hunters. They're local guys. I talked to them. They were doing the same thing as me. They seen them from the road. drove around, tried to get on them. They said they got a bird to answer them a couple times. But they said some hens came in and they kind of got like busted. Not like bad, but they just kind of turned around and walked the other way, knew something wasn't right. I'm going to hang in this area. Those birds haven't moved very far from, and it took me a while to get back here. And they're still just 300 yards from where I seen them this morning. One of those birds has to get lonely here in a little bit, so I'm just going to hang in here all day and see if I can fire one of these guys up. Several jakes, several longbeards. One of them has to get lonely at some point, I would think, so I'm probably going to get on the other side of this drainage. These guys were kind of pushing them from this side, so I'm going to go around to the other side, and I'm going to stay behind the crest of this hill. I ended up hunting from dawn till dusk on day 2, and besides the birds that I seen at the very start of the day on private land, I did not see another turkey. I did not hear another turkey. I kept the same strategy as the day before. I put a lot of miles on foot. I put even more miles on the truck, and I hunted hard. Turns out, in South Dakota on May 15th, all of the trails open up to ATVs, and there were people flying up and down those trails all day long. I definitely think that had an effect on the birds, and I definitely think that's what was making them so quiet. I was able to talk to a few of the local people, and I got some good leads and some good places to go for the next day. Well guys, I talked to some campers on the way out this morning kind of jokingly, and I was like, hey, you guys haven't heard any turkeys, have you? And they said, yeah, there's been a couple firing off behind my camp every night. So it's Sunday night, I figured they'd be leaving. They're gone. So I come up here and I blow my owl hooter and check this out. And there's also a turkey firing off over here. Now he's been double gobbling sometimes, or there's 2 gobblers back there, but either way, I got a starting point in the morning. Could not be more excited. It's cold this morning. Heading out to go get the one we roosted yesterday. Just about the time they should start waking up. There's a little draw. I'm going to try to slip up and get on the same level as him. I think there's a little bench, because I think he's going to cross that bench. And the only strut zone I can see on the map is going to be through me. So it's a plan. Let's see what happens.
Here he is, guys. I'm standing next to my first out-of-state bird, my first South Dakota bird, and my first Merriam's turkey, and I am super excited. It's a Jake. I don't care. I don't care. Say whatever you want to say. I've worked harder for this turkey than any other turkey I've shot, and I am more excited about this turkey than any other turkey I've shot. He's beautiful. I cannot believe the colors on these birds. I love the white tips and the tail fans. They have a different hue or shine to the black feathers as well than the Easterns that I'm used to. Super beautiful bird. Could not be more excited. It was crazy how I got here. I was driving some logging roads, and I was using a coyote howler to try to locate some birds, because in 2 solid days from dusk till dawn of driving, walking, I probably put in 10 miles on my feet, and I probably put in, I don't know, a full tank of gas in the truck. I hadn't heard one gobble. So I'm driving by these campers on this logging road, you know, at the base of this, I'm going to call it a mountain because it is huge. I asked them, have you guys heard any turkeys? I was joking. And they're like, yeah, we see them every once in a while, and we hear them every night up on this ridge. And I said, no kidding. And that night they had left, you know, because it was Sunday. I'm guessing they had to get back to work. So I slipped into that camping spot. And sure enough, right at sunset, I heard 2 turkeys up the draw that's about 300 yards to my left. And then I heard one gobbling across the road. And I'm like, well, this is the spot. So I snuck up here in the morning. And I say snuck, but I really had to like crawl on my hands and knees, and I got snagged on every branch. It was really thick and nasty and steep coming up here. Took me about 30-40 minutes just to get up here. And where I'm at is a little bench in between where they were gobbling and where I thought they wanted to go. And I was like, if they want to get there, whether or not they come to my calls, they have to come through me. Well, I worked those gobblers for for 40, 45 minutes, something like that. And then they just went quiet. I kept calling. And about an hour after the gobblers had went quiet, right below me, because there's a little bit of a ledge off to my right where I was sitting, I heard what I thought was a hen yelping, but what I realized now was a Jake. And it did sound off. I was worried that it was another hunter. But I heard that, so I yelped back at it. They yelped at me, I yelped at them, and then I went quiet, hoping they'd come looking, and maybe they would have a tom or a longbeard in tow. They ended up coming around this ledge and got on the same level with me, and got behind me somehow, and when I seen them in my peripheral vision to my left, they were passing me at 5 steps. 5 steps. And so they kind of made me out and kind of like boogied down the hill a little bit. Well, there's another like ledge, and it drops off pretty good, and it gave me a chance to shoulder my gun and sit up. And as I came above that little ledge, they stopped to look back at me, so I put the bead on the one that had his head up and let the hammer go. This bird. And I think what I'm going to do now is take him down to camp. And I was kind of feeling cocky at the start of the trip, so at a gas station I bought some flour, some seasoning salt, and some oil. And I think we're going to go down, and I think we're going to have us some turkey nuggets for breakfast. Let's get him off the mount.
It was almost exhausting getting down that mountain with that bird, as it was going up in the morning to get him. When I got him down, the first thing I did was remove that tail fan. The reason for this is that the bird tends to get rolled around a lot when I'm taking the meat off of the breast and when I'm taking the meat off of the legs. And this tail fan was one of the main reasons I came up here. I absolutely love the colors on these. I think Merriam's are probably the prettiest turkey out there, and I did not want any damage to come to my tail fan. The next thing I did, for the same reasons, is I removed the beard. This thing wasn't much to look at, but it was a trophy in my eyes. I figured while I was cleaning my bird, I was going to go ahead and get my oil heating up. I brought a single propane burner that I got from Walmart in the camping section, a small pot from home, and some oil, some flour, and some seasoning salt that I bought at a gas station when I was feeling really cocky on the way out. I'm not going to lie to you, I really thought I was going to end up taking that stuff home and using it on my regular food. But looking back now, I'm really glad I brought that stuff. The next thing I did was get those breasts out of that turkey. To do that, I pulled a lot of the feathers off near the breast so I didn't have to worry about them getting in the way. And once you make a small incision, you can really peel a lot of that skin back by hand. From there, it's really just popping the breast out, and it's similar kind of like to filleting a fish. If you've ever done that before, you just run that knife right along the breastbone all the way down, and then you cut it away from the fat and stuff up by the neck, and you're left with a pretty delicious piece of turkey meat that needs very minimal cleaning. I repeated that process on the other side, and then it was time to get those turkey legs off. I like to grab the leg and push it down to expose that little ball socket. Once I do that, it's pretty easy to cut the entire leg away and peel back any remaining skin and feathers. I take the whole thigh completely off the bone, and for the shank, I just cut out little pockets of meat around those long, super hard tendons that run up and down it. They kind of remind me of a bone. You're definitely not eating them. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and separate the feet from the rest of the leg, because those are something I definitely want to take home with me and display on a mount, which I'm for sure going to make of this guy. The next thing I did was get my breading ready. We aren't doing anything super complicated here. This process is more about enjoying the experience, enjoying being in those Black Hills, and enjoying a successful harvest. And we don't need a whole lot to do that. We're not using a binder, and we don't need anything fancy. A little bit of flour, a little bit of seasoning salt, and some hot oil is going to more than take care of what we're after for this experience. I took about half the breast and chunked it up into good sized nuggets, making sure to cut against the grain so that those bites were really tender. And after that, they went into the flour and then into the fryer. It did not take any time at all for these turkey nuggets to cook. I was enjoying the heck out of myself. I was the only one on the mountain. Everyone else had went home. It was a Monday, so all the campers had left. It was just me, the mountain, and these turkey nuggets. And man, were they looking and smelling good. I took about 20 minutes and I just sat there in silence, eating those turkey nuggets, listening to the sounds of nature, and thinking how awesome it was that I drove halfway across the country to land that I didn't know, and I was actually able to harvest a turkey.
Well guys, that's going to do it for me here in South Dakota. It is hard to beat eating freshly fried turkey at the base of the mountain you just killed your turkey on. It's been an unreal experience. It's been a humbling one. It was grueling, and it was so much different than I expected, both in terrain, turkey density, but also in how beautiful and rugged the land was. It's closer to the like Colorado mountain without the actual 14ers and stuff like that, but a lot of the topography and stuff is just as mean. So it was an awesome experience. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I definitely enjoyed doing it. I have no regrets. I usually try to get the shot on film, but it was shoot the turkey or try to turn the camera on because they had made me out, and they were on their way out. So I would do that again. And that Jake right there is the hardest earned turkey I'm going to have on my wall, and I'm definitely going to do a fan mount of him so I can commemorate this hunt and the experience that I had in South Dakota. But it was an awesome hunt, and I can't wait for next year to do something similar. If you guys are serious turkey hunters like myself, there is 2 videos. I'm going to link them in the description, and they'll show as this video is closing of my 2 Missouri kills. Really, really good videos, great footage, both shots on film. So if you're still itching for a little bit more turkey action, make sure that you check those out. I really, really appreciate you guys watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one.